shit.
You have your cater of people, huh?
I will. You get free jackets.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So.
And then we could turn the video off.
Now, we actually have 4. Nicole is here. Oh, good. I thought- Yeah, a little fast.
You guys hear me?
Miguel, hello.
Yeah, my video, it says, what does it say now? It's not letting me turn it on. Is something on your end, or is it fail to start video camera? Please select another camera in settings. Oh,
Let's see.
Nicole.
Nicole.
Hi.
Hi, Nicole.
so I got your request to start my video, but it didn't do anything.
Kelly,
Nicole.
can you do it? Oh, there we go. Kelly's on.
Hi, Kelly. Yeah, Chris.
I think she might be still,
Like normal.
Why don't you turn your mic on, Harry, just so that we, all right, there we go, Miguel. We can see you now. Hey.
Okay. Oh.
Can see your forehead. And then, Kelly, we saw you for a minute and now we don't. Well, I believe we are expecting Manuel Cordero. As soon as Troyan's back, we could get started.
Yeah, might as well.
You have a forum.
We have a quorum. Miguel can turn his camera back on and he's good to go. Yep. Oh.
Oh, he's back. It's working now.
There you go. All right. All right, with that, it is 4:46 and we will start the February 15th, 2022 Providence City Plan Commission regular meeting. Let's start off by taking a roll call. Harry Bilodeau. Here. Nicole Verdi.
Here.
Miguel Cazeta.
Present.
Okay, and we have Bob Azar. Here. And Choyan Manjakar, BPD staff.
Present, thanks.
All right. We will start by approving the minutes from the January 18th, 2022 regular meeting. I'm hoping that all of you received them and reviewed them prior. If anyone has any notes, corrections, or modifications they would like to, or we could just approve the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to pass the first really excellent meeting of the year 2222,
Okay,
January 18th.
so we have a first from Harry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
I think Miguel beat you there, Nicole. So it's Miguel is the second. Let's all vote. Just in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Opposed? The minutes carry. We will go to Bob for a director's report.
Okay, not too much to report this month. The only thing I wanted to mention is that Manuel Cordero has been appointed by the mayor to replace Christine West on the board. He previously has served as the mayor's designee, and his appointment has been approved by the city council's finance committee and will be voted by the full council on this coming Thursday. And then we expect shortly after that for the mayor to designate someone else to fill his seat on the commission. So next month, we should have a full complement of 7 members.
That's wonderful to hear. As my first as chair and missing Christine already, it'll be nice to have a full slate ahead of us. All right, then let's kick it off into the first agenda item. It's a council referral for, it's a referral number 3503, the abandonment of Eastwood Avenue. Who would like to introduce this item? And actually, I think we'll probably, are we taking 1 and 2 together, or are they both?
Yeah, these both relate to the same company. They both filed these 2 petitions. Choyan will be introducing both of them, and I will be, I think I'm bringing in Eric Nadelman on behalf of the applicant. So Choyan, I think you can go ahead.
Sure, thanks. And commissioners, so just so we can orient ourselves towards these applications. This is a request for the abandonment of Eastwood Ave, as well as concurrent rezoning. And this area is currently zoned R2. And what the applicant intends to do is abandon the portion of the street that's indicated on the plan and rezone it to M1, as well as the lots that are south to it, are south of the abandonment area, which are lots 419, 420, 421, and 422 on plat 105. And the intent of this abandonment is to expand a storage space facility that exists north of the abandonment area. And what the applicant intends to do is to rezone to M1 so that they can expand the storage space facility into this area where it is permitted by right. So, yeah, I guess the applicant can tell us more about their petitions and why they're necessary.
Okay, I've promoted Eric Nadelman. Eric, could you unmute and turn on your camera? And also let us know if there's anybody else on behalf of your company that we need to bring in.
Hey everyone, this is Eric. No, this should be good. I think John Garahy might join as well.
Yes, he's on. Would you like us to promote him as well?
Sure.
Okay.
So,
Oh, actually, before we get started with this, Manuel Cardero has joined us. Let the record reflect that, and he is joining as the 5th attendee from the Providence City Plan Commission. Thank you. All right, go ahead with your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's John Garahy on behalf of the applicant, if I may.
Please go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So these are 2, as Troyan has indicated, complementary applications. Agenda item number 1 is the abandonment of that portion of Eastwood Avenue, which abuts a portion of Patriot State Storage spaces. And agenda item number 2 is the rezoning of certain parcels to M1 to accomplish. So with respect to the abandonment, so first of all, this is the terminus of Eastwood Avenue. Eastwood Avenue runs a large Silver Lake, a long portion of it. This is where it ends at Route 6. A lot of these abandonments do occur because of the completion of the highway. And I think this highway used to be Rhode Island 195, is now Route 6. This kind of cuts this off, and all this construction is being done at this, right at this intersection at Route 10 and Route 6 interchange. This was never developed. The topography is very difficult at this location. And the applicant has got to do a lot of work, both with respect to the filling in of this space in order to accomplish their purposes to adjoin their parcel. So it was never useful to the public, was platted but never used. I don't believe, doesn't look like it anyway. And so essentially it's never been useful to the public. And it's now going to be put back into commerce and use for Patriot Storage for their facility, which is a useful economic purpose for the property. So with respect to agenda number 1, we would ask that you recommend that the city council abandon this portion of Eastwood Avenue. With respect to agenda item number 2, there were several parcels that the applicant purchased from the PRA, which is adjoining this parcel. 28 to 40 Eastwood Avenue, and we're seeking to get this rezoned from R2 in order for into M1, excuse me, in order to expand the storage space facility in the rear. Again, it's even though it abuts an R2 zone, the topography over here, if you look at this, is very difficult. And even though it abuts it, it's really not very well next to it. So the intention is to join these parcels onto the storage space facility. And in order to do that, we have to adjoin it to the existing M1 parcel. So the existing parcel is M1. These are being joined to it essentially to expand the facility. Happy to answer any questions.
And the difficult topography that you're speaking of is a significant grade change from these sites and the Patriot storage site to the R2 area. The R2 area is significantly higher, isn't it?
Eric, I'll let you answer that. I mean, it goes up, it goes down at that point, and the R2, I think it's a big gully as I've seen it. Eric, maybe you can answer that a little better.
Yeah, it's a very, very steep elevation change. That's why, the abandonment of the street makes sense. You could never even run utilities down there to service those lots. So those lots are essentially dead. We're happy to bring them back onto, into commerce use and onto the tax card. Realistically, of those lots, the 419, 420, and 421, we can really only use about 20 or 25% of the lot for our use. The rest of it will remain essentially as a buffer because, as you mentioned, the elevation change is so steep over a short distance. So, essentially for those 2,000 square foot lots or 10,000 square foot lots, whatever they might be, our intent is to really only use the front half of it that is touching the Eastwood Ave. Just for that purpose. So the rest of it will be drainage and detainage pond usage.
Understood. Would any of the other commissioners, do any of you have questions for the applicant while he is here?
Nope.
Miguel? No? Okay. Seeing none. Miguel, did you? No? All right, then, yes. With that, we will let the applicants take a little break and we will open up to public comment. Prior to that, we'll have Choyan read the staff reports for both items number 1 and number 2. And then this is referral number 3503 and 3508 that we will be seeking public comment on.
Well, thanks, Mr. Chair. I can just go through our findings real quick. As far as the abandonment goes, we do find that the area proposed for abandonment is undeveloped. It terminates in a dead end. And its abandonment would not have an adverse impact on the public interest as it's only useful for accessing property that's owned by the petitioner. And this abandonment is not expected to negatively affect any future plans for development or land use. The petitioner owns all lots abutting the abandonment area, so there's no question of disagreement. No physical or legal access will be denied as, again, the petitioner owns the land surrounding that area. We don't know whether any public services or facilities need to be protected, but we would ask that any easements be granted by the petitioner and a petition and plan have been provided as required. So based on that, we would recommend that you make a positive recommendation to the Committee on Public Works to abandon this portion of Eastwood Ave, subject to the conditions that the petitioners apply for an administrative subdivision, to merge the abandoned portion of the street with their property, and that they grant any necessary easements if necessary. And as far as the zone change goes, we do find that while the lots are adjacent to the R2 zone to the south, we should note that there is a grade change that would provide separation, as well as the fact that they are required to maintain a 20-foot setback for any development in the M1 zone. So based on that, we do find that this would be in conformance with the future land use map of the comprehensive plan where you have these low density residential uses in proximity to business mixed use development, which corresponds to the zone change to M1 that the applicant is asking for. And we don't foresee negative impact on health, safety, and welfare. And based on that, we would recommend that you make a positive recommendation to the city council to approve the zone change to M1.
Okay, thank you, Choi. With that, we will open this portion to public comment for the abandonment of Eastwood Avenue and the rezoning of Eastwood Avenue. 28 to 40 Eastwood Avenue, excuse me. If there is anyone virtually who would like to comment on this item, please raise your virtual hand, or if you're dialing in, I believe it's *9. And anyone here in person? All right, we're seeing no public comment for these items, so we will close the public comment portion of these two agenda items, and we will move to deliberations. Colleagues, do you have anything that you would like to ask or deliberate on further? If there is a motion on these, we will have to take them one at a time, starting with referral number 3505, the abandonment of Eastwood Avenue.
If there's no comment, I'm happy to make a motion to make a positive recommendation regarding the abandonment of Eastwood Ave, referral number 3505, based on what we heard today in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion by Nicole and a second by Miguel. Let's do voice votes for all of these. Harry?
Aye.
All right. Miguel?
Aye.
All right. Manuel?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The motion carries. The next one is referral number 3508, rezoning of 28 to 40 Eastwood Avenue. Any discussion or a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve CPC referral 3508, including the recommendations of staff.
Positive recommendation to the council.
Positive recommendation.
All right.
Opposed to Wimpy.
So we have a motion by Harry. Does that work, Troy?
Yeah.
Okay. We need a second.
Second.
And we have a second by Nicole. All right, let's do a voice vote again. Harry?
Aye.
Miguel?
Aye.
Manuel?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That motion also carries. So we are on to City Council referral number 3506, the rezoning of 1144 Eddy Street. The petitioner is Federal Products Corp.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chair. Quick introduction before we hear from the petitioner. This is a request to rezone 1144 Eddy Street from M1 to MMU 75. You may have noticed that the petition says M2, but a substitution by the applicant will be provided at the council's public hearing. So this is a former industrial building that the applicant intends to rezone to MMU 75 in order to allow for the operation of a school on that site. So yeah, I guess the petitioner can tell us more about why this is being requested.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Nicholas Heeman on behalf of the petitioners, Federal Products and Paolino Realty. This property is under contract for sale from Federal Products to Paolino Realty, pending the outcome of our efforts to change the zoning. I mean, there's not much more I can say than what Choyan said. They're in discussions to put a charter school there. A lot of things have to come together for that to happen. Talking with Councilman Espinal, he's been supportive of this initiative on our part. Certainly anytime I think we're taking M1 property off of the zoning map down there. I know the councilman and prior council people have always supported doing that. But that's the vision for this property. The current zoning allowed for a trade school, but not for a, for lack of a better word, regular school, a traditional school. So that's why we put the petition in. We thought that the MMU was the better option from the other options that would have allowed us to do that. While we're only rezoning the one parcel, we sort of looked around and felt like that was not out of character. Preferable, I think, to the C3 might have been another option for us. I'm happy to answer any questions. I cannot say who the potential schools would be due to NDAs and such, but certainly think this would be something positive for that portion of Eddy Street.
Sounds good. Do any of the commissioners have questions for the applicant?
I am trying to locate to get a better understanding of the project, and perhaps somebody can help me with this. I think in particular, I'm curious about its relationship to the highway. I believe it might be in proximity to the highway. And although not under our jurisdiction, I do want to flag that the use of educational facilities within a certain distance of highways is not allowed by the school construction regulations as administered by the Rhode Island Department of Education. So I just want to flag that for the parties that are proposing this.
Thank you, Manuel. It is within proximity. It's about, can't read that.
I'm going to say it's probably around 500 feet, maybe a little bit more from Interstate 95. I'm not aware of that regulation, but I know Mr. Cordero works in that realm.
There are other things that would be afforded to the applicant under MMU that are not under M1. I mean, I took a deep dive just for my own edification over the weekend to make sure that there was nothing that would be out of character for the neighborhood. And this is the one zone MMU, which allows for manufacturing, but a lot of other commercial uses as well for redevelopment. The M1, for example, does not allow multi-use or multifamily residential, whereas the MMU does. So I think it's a more flexible zone to keep in character, but it still allows manufacturing uses as well.
Yeah, I think usually, just because of Allen's Avenue portion of Allen's Avenue being what it is, you can't do the types of clubs that they do in the M1 there. And you can't, I believe the marijuana uses are not allowed in the MMU, but are in the M1, because I've done the reverse in another part of the city.
Yeah, that is correct.
I'll bring that to their attention. I wasn't involved in the due diligence of what they're doing, just this particular portion, but I will certainly make them aware of that.
Any other commissioners have questions for the applicant? All right, and seeing none, we'll have Choyan read the staff report, and we will open it up to public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Or commissioners, so this is a request to rezone the site from M1 to MMU 75 in order to allow for operation of a school on the site. And the building's design is conducive to a range of uses, including commercial, industrial, and educational. So based on that, we feel rezoning to MMU 75 would be appropriate. And also based on the future land use map, this is an area where you have business mixed use development in proximity to low density residential to the south. And given the presence of the residential zone, we feel that the rezoning would be appropriate, since a school would be an amenity. And it would also be in proximity to homes which could possibly allow for improving pedestrian and bicycle access to schools. So based on that, we find that the rezoning is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. We don't expect a negative effect on health, safety, and welfare. And we would recommend that you make a positive recommendation to the city council to rezone this parcel to MMU 75.
Thank you, Troyan. We will open the meeting up to public comment now on agenda item number 3, referral 3506, the rezoning of 1144 Eddy Street. If you are in the virtual meeting room, please raise your virtual hand, or if you're calling in, *9. And anyone in person for this application item? Again, we are seeing none. So we'll go ahead and close the public comment portion. Commissioners, it's time to deliberate and or to make a motion on this item.
If it's changed to MMU 75,
Mhm.
that will not negate its use as a trade school, will it?
I don't believe so. We can look up the zoning regulations.
That's a good question. I can check that quickly. In general, MMU is still a industrial zone, but it's a good question. Let me just check.
And Bob or Shoyan, if the school can't be built, that wouldn't change your recommendation?
Yeah, so educational facility, vocational is permitted in the MMU 75.
Yeah, permitted in MMU 75, permitted in M1, so there would be no difference there.
Okay, good. It's kind of pro trade school, that's all.
Yeah, no, both are allowed, university or colleges by special use permit, but all other educational looks to be permitted use.
Can I maybe reiterate Miguel Quezada's question, because I think it's important. If the intended use that is prompting the request was not possible or invalid, does that change the recommendation?
I think for my inclination is that it would still be a positive change for this parcel. I don't know what the applicant would do if they would still go forward if that was not an allowed use. But things like nightclubs that are allowed in the M1 are not allowed in the MMU, or possibly with a special use permit, or like you need a special use permit for a live performance venue.
Nightclub is the same.
Nightclub is the same.
I guess, if I may, Mr. Chair, I think what you're saying is if this deal falls through, should the zoning change happen, and as I understand it, the buyer and the seller are co-applicants to this zoning change, and that would indicate that the buyer wants this zoning change to happen regardless of whether the sale happens. I certainly can't speak for the buyer. Maybe Mr. Heeman can. But if the city council does make this zoning change, it will still allow for a wide range of uses, including some industrial uses. It's just the very heavy industrial uses that would be precluded if this were changed. That was one of our concerns, was that frankly, we don't necessarily want to take properties out of industrial zones, because these industrial zones can be places of job generation, and a building like this looks to have a lot of potential to be reused for a number of different things. So in my opinion, MMU still provides an awful lot of flexibility for a lot of different uses, even if this charter school this deal does fall apart. But maybe Mr. Heeman
Sure.
can expand.
So I would say a lot has to happen between now and the ordinance getting passed, right? You have to make your recommendation. There needs to be a public hearing, which I haven't received notice of, so I don't have any idea when that is. And then you need 2 votes of the council. In that time, I'm sure we can figure out on our end whether or not they can even proceed with this, because like I said, I wasn't involved in the due diligence. I would tell you that this transaction is contingent upon the zoning. So if the zone change doesn't occur, then my client on the buyer side can walk away from it without any sort of repercussions or penalties. That said, he still could choose to purchase it if he so chooses. There's a strong possibility that between now and a vote of the council, if I go back to them and then they say, oh, you can't do a school, they may just tell me, Nick, withdraw your petition. We don't want to move forward. And that would certainly be something that is within the realm of possibility, but the buyer in this instance has a lot of real estate assets in the city, as you all know. What I could do is this, perhaps as a condition of your recommendation, just so you're not voting on something that you think is one thing and then it's another. If between now and when the council acts, there's any change in their proposed use, that I would notify the commission and the planning department. And if you want me to come back, I'm happy to do that. We're not trying to hide the ball on anything. And maybe they already know that. Maybe they've already vetted that. Maybe there's a different process they go through. I just don't know. No one mentioned it to me.
Seeing my inclination is that seeing this is not a project specific zone change request, this is going to carry with the land throughout. I still think it makes good planning sense to give a positive recommendation to the city council for this zone change, and whatever the petitioner does in the future. That's neither here nor there. They could still, we could make a positive recommendation. They could have another potential use for the building by the time it's approved. So it's whether or not it actually makes good sense, good planning sense to give the positive recommendation. And based on Choyan's report and the research that I've done, I believe that is the case.
Well, I'm happy to make a motion to give a positive.
Is there anyone else before Harry makes a motion? Is there any other discussion that would like to be had on this one, Miguel?
No.
Manuel, do you have any other concerns?
Yeah, well, I guess I will express my concern. So I am not opposed to the change in zoning. I am concerned about the use, and honestly, it is I think something for us to think about in the future. I don't think that post-industrial sites that are near the highway are ideal school sites. And I know that not just this charter, and I don't know what charter it is, but many charters struggle with siting in urban areas. So I know it's incredibly challenging. That said, we're putting students in these locations and they're spending most of their waking hours in these spaces. And I worry about the health and well-being of students from a multitude of standpoints. Health outcomes close to highways are already poor, and those neighborhoods close to the highway already have really poor health outcomes, in part due to their proximity to the highway. In addition to that, the noise levels from the highway make it difficult for these facilities that are sited close to highways to deal with the auditory issues, right? So I not opposed to the change in zoning, because I think the kind of flexibility may be a good thing. I am concerned about this site as a school site. There's a reason that regulation is in place. There may be ways around it, but I think it's something for the city to think about. Do we really want students, our youth, to be in sites like this one that we're looking at?
What other,
I
Go
think
ahead, Eric.
we're gonna over worry this. The New England Tech is right next to the highway, Brown University, University of Pennsylvania, my house, come on. I mean, I think that architects are skillful enough to deal with noise there, and here's a place that is, I guess, could be a tremendous boost to the city of Providence, I think. And, I did a little math. I mean, it is business, Bob. There are 1,600 independent schools, and the revenue is about $14 billion. I mean, these schools are not just little palaces, they're money-making machines. And we should do the best we can to create the best kind of options for all the different students. The only reason I was worried about, I didn't want to lose the trade school option is that I am in favor of trade schools. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I just wanted to make sure that trade school was not disincluded, that's all. So that's why I would continue my motion.
Manuel, you may be able to chime in on this, but what is the approval process for a school siting? I mean, that goes beyond us. I believe that's through RIDE, right?
There's a few pieces at play here. RIDE has some regulations and site standards that schools are supposed to follow. Those are tied to funding. So it is possible that a school who does not want state support for the facilities could try to find a way around it. There is also a state law around siting that kind of Industrial Sites Act that basically either prevents siting schools on post-industrial sites or requires remediation tactics to be implemented. So RIDEM also has oversight over this. So in short, there are mechanisms in place that will ultimately help vet this as a project. I know that we don't provide enough support. And unfortunately, a lot of the schools that we're talking about, like, Barton Gregorian and sure, New England Tech and Asa Messer are all right on highways. Those were built 50 or 60 years ago before we knew any better. I'll tell you what, Moses Brown is not next to a highway and Wheeler is not next to a highway, right? So it's the question of what students are we putting where? And again, I think this is a social equity issue, an environmental justice issue that we just have to be mindful. And again, I'm on a soapbox a little bit. I know that that's not what's at issue here, but if zoning is one of the few mechanisms in which we can guide the construction of schools, and in particular charter schools that operate in a different setting than our traditional district schools, then we have to think about how we use those mechanisms to ensure the health and safety of youth in schools.
Then we should not have, anyway, I think that to me, the important is to provide the children with the best possible appropriate education we can provide them with. And so Meeting Street School is right on a highway, and it does a great job, I'm told. And we have supported its movement and its expansion. And I think, Manuel, we'll both get down off our soapboxes and let's just talk about the school and the building and the zoning. because I love the fight, so I'm willing to go. But right now, let's just stick to the zoning.
All right, we'll stick a pin in those two comments. Nicole, do you have anything?
I was just going to say, I think this conversation is incredibly helpful and thoughtful, but at the same time, I think it's been acknowledged that from the standard that's before us and from the standard of our review, that that standard has been met to issue a positive recommendation. And so I'm comfortable. I think Harry might have either started to make a motion, or I'm comfortable making the motion or supporting that motion based on what we heard today and based on the staff report. Although I acknowledge everything that Manuel raised, it just with what we're here to approve, I feel comfortable moving forward.
Maybe with a caveat that the applicant ensure that the siding meets all of the criteria applicable for this type of institution. If
Yeah,
that's
I've noted
what they
Meets
put.
appropriate criteria.
Right.
Here's a good
Right.
buzzword.
There you go. Okay, so with that, Barry, you were starting to make a motion. I don't know if you wanted to continue with
Yeah,
that.
I defer to Nicole. She makes much better motion.
Okay.
All right, I will make a motion to issue a positive recommendation based on what we heard today from the applicant and from the staff report, and noting that the applicant will meet all appropriate standards, et cetera.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second with Harry. Let's take a voice vote again, and there's no rhyme or reason. I'm just calling you in the order I see you.
Okay.
Harry,
Aye.
Miguel,
Aye.
Manuel,
Nay.
and Nicole,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries. The next item on our agenda is number 4, referral number 3507, the rezoning of 681 Valley and 75 Rathbone Streets.
So commissioners, this is a request to rezone from M1 to MMU 75. The subject property is located within an industrial and commercial area. And the lots are occupied by commercial buildings that have been used for a number of uses. And the zone change to MMU 75 is being requested to allow for mixed-use development on the site. And some uses that you can see around it include a gas station as well as different commercial uses. So I think the applicants are here and they can tell us more about what they wish to do. Yeah.
Why don't we use this mic over here? It's a little easier to see.
Good afternoon and thank you. My name is Francis Parra. I am the principal of Teatro Group.
Can you spell your name?
Francis, F-R-A-N-C-I-S. Parra, P as in Peter, A-R-R-A. I am the principal at Teatro Group LLC and the artistic executive and artistic director of Teatro ECAS, which is a nonprofit organization, a Latino theater in Providence since 1997. We are the only Latino repertory theater north of New York City. This year we are our 25th anniversary, offering theater and youth programs in Providence. We currently have a 50-seat black box theater on Elmwood and Parkes Avenue on Elmwood, and we rent from One Neighborhood Builders. In August, we acquired the building at 681 Valley Street to redevelop it and build a permanent home for Teatro ECAS and our cultural programming. This building has been a nightclub for decades, and the neighbors were very happy to learn that it will now have a more community center use. The building has a second floor. We are asking for a zoning change so that we can have 2 residential units on the second floor. I believe the mixed use of this redevelopment in this property is a big improvement for the neighborhood. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Well, seeing none, but Harry, go ahead.
No, I don't have a question. I think it's just a wonderful use. And I hope we approve it, and I hope you can take it going forward and maybe even work out a little deal with other local theaters and be great. I'm a theater junkie, so I love theater.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Yeah, I commend your efforts here. Troy, let's hear the staff report and open it up to public comment.
Sure, Commissioners, based on the future land use map of the comp plan, as well as what you see around this site, you will see that this is a mixed-use area with business, commercial, mixed-use development. And based on that, we believe that it can support the zone, support the uses that would be allowed based on a zone change to MMU 75. And it would be appropriate given the character of the surroundings. And also, we don't foresee a negative impact on health, safety, and welfare, and it's consistent with the purposes of zoning. So based on that, we would recommend that you make a positive recommendation to the council to approve the zone change to MMU 75.
Okay, we will open up to public comment now, but we did have two pieces of comment that came in prior to the meeting. One was from the city council representative of this area, Kat Kerwin, in fervent support of this project, as well as a letter of support from your neighbor directly on Rathbone Street.
And I'm sorry, there was also a third one. It was from Eric Wright.
Eric
Also-
Wright.
That was the second one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we also received a third that was included in the email that was sent. It was from the operator of the gas station.
Oh,
that's
right.
next
That's
door,
right. Cal LLC. Yes.
Karam Ahmed.
Yep.
So
I forgot about the third. So three letters of support prior to this meeting. Is there anyone in attendance this evening that would like to speak on this, either in the audience or on the virtual platform? Please raise your digital hand or press *9 if you're calling in. All right, and seeing none, we will close the public comment portion of this, and you can go ahead and sit back down and we will deliberate. Commissioners, do you have anything else to discuss on this matter?
I just wanted to echo some of the comments by Harry. I've been to Teatro Ecas on Parkes, and they do wonderful productions there. Their biggest limitation has been the size of it. So to be able to expand over in the Valley neighborhood, I think would be a great contribution to the community, to the city and state of Rhode Island. So I'm in great support of it and happy that they're doing it.
Thank you, Miguel.
I agree completely. Super excited about this one and excited to see it come to fruition.
I'm excited as well and happy to make a motion to approve, motion to make a positive recommendation to the city council to approve the zone change based on what we heard today and based on the staff report.
All right, we have a motion from Nicole. Do we have a second?
Second.
I think Harry beat you here, maybe because of the virtual delay, Miguel. Sorry.
No
worries.
To Miguel.
I'll let Choyon make the decision. We have a motion. We have a second. I'll go around with a voice vote. Harry?
Aye.
Okay, Miguel?
Aye.
Manuel?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we are on to our last agenda item of the evening. Referral number 3509, abandonment of Penrose Avenue.
Right, Commissioners, and you should have a little bit of familiarity with this piece of property based on the abandonment requested. It's a piece of Penrose Ave that exists between 123 and 129 Blackstone Boulevard. And this area has already been developed and is occupied by land that is owned by the adjacent lots. And so the petitioners who own property on either side are requesting to abandon this portion of the street in order to develop the property that lies between each lot. So, yeah, I guess the petitioners can tell us more about how this came to be.
Okay, if you are in the audience, raise your hand. We see one.
We have someone named C. Rogers. Is there any, okay, I see Marie Langlaw and Omar Briganti.
Yeah. Hi, good evening. Bob, can you hear me?
Yeah, is this Chip?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Chip, do you have the ability to turn your camera on?
I do.
There
How's that?
There we go. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name's
We also
Charles.
have,
I'm an attorney representing the petitioners, and as Choyan said, this is a pretty straightforward application. This area has been used for any number of years by numerous owners of the properties on either side as the access to their respective driveways. I think if you were to drive by and look at this, it wouldn't occur to you that this is anything other than a driveway providing access to these two homes. The petitioners are the only abutters, and if the petition and abandonment is ultimately granted, they each plan to build garages on their property, not necessarily on this portion of the abandoned property, but this will afford them the ability and the room to do so. Let me know if you have any questions.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the applicant? I took a deep dive trying to figure out when this road was taken over by the two properties, because there are other residences on the rear with access from Grotto Street of this Penrose Avenue, and I wasn't able to find it for, I don't know, 30 or 50 years at least, as far back as I can tell. Okay, I guess with that, we will have the staff report and open it up to public comment.
And commissioners, as discussed, this.
I just had a question for Mr. Rogers. If the rest of the Penrose has just been taken over time, should there be some clarity as to exactly, or maybe there is clarity for exactly what you want to do, so there are no ghosts in the closet that could come out and trouble Ms. Langlois or the other applicants? I mean, should something be formalized with the other part of the street, the already abandoned part?
Well, the other portion of the street is improved. It's not a paper street. There are houses on that other portion of Penrose Avenue that with access from Grotto,
All right,
and it sort of just dead ends there.
right. I'm only just worried about them protecting themselves, that's all.
Mhm.
All right, I think we'll be all set with respect to neighbors if the abandonment is granted.
Bob?
Yeah, something occurred to me, and I want to just look at the petition itself, because I know that, yeah, it's hard for me to see it's hard for me to see exactly what's happening. Maybe what I can do is just pull this up. even this might be a little unclear, but I think there might be a little bit of Penrose that is, that may not be part of this. So we have, Chip, can you confirm that you can see this map of Penrose at Blackstone Boulevard?
Yeah, I can see it, Bob.
Okay, so we have lot 297 to the north of Penrose, and then we have lot 270 to the south. And the you'll notice that the rear lot lines of these are not equidistant from Blackstone Boulevard.
That's right.
And so there's there's also this lot 107 that actually seems to have its vehicular access from the easterly portion of Penrose, which is only accessible from Grotto to the east. And then there's this sort of space directly to the south of lot 107. Is that actually part of this? Is the abandonment going to run all the way to the rear lot line of lot 270?
No, the abandonment petition, if you were to extend the lot line of 297 down towards 270, like that, right? That's it. That's what the petition sets forth. It's a rectangle of, what is it? Well, it's 4,000 square feet. So what, 40 by 100?
Yeah, okay. All right. So all right. Thank you for that. That's clear. So it does appear then that there is a little bit of Penrose, that being this area just to the east of the proposed abandonment, that's still public right of way, but not improved, and kind of will be a bit of an orphan. And I think your client to the south here needs to understand that that's still going to be public right of way and not to be encroached upon or improved. And, you know, certainly the other neighbors would have to understand that as well. It looks like it just exists as open space right now.
And we understand that. Again, just to confirm, the application is only for that 100-foot portion that runs back to the 297 lot line.
Okay. All right. That's clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That clears it up very, very well for me at least. Commissioners, do you have any other questions for the applicant before we open it up to public comment? All right, with that, Choyan, would you like to read the staff report?
Sure. And Commissioners, as noted, the portion of Penrose Ave that's proposed for abandonment is already developed. So we don't really object to the abandonment as it's only useful for accessing property that's owned by the petitioners. We don't foresee a negative impact on any future plans as the abandonment area is already developed. The petitioners own the lots abutting the abandonment area. No physical or legal access will be denied given that it's only useful to access land owned by the petitioners. We don't know if any public services or facilities need to be protected or maintained, but the applicants would need to grant easements as necessary. And a petition and plan have been provided. So based on that, we would recommend that you make a positive recommendation to the Committee on Public Works that they approve this abandonment subject to the following conditions: that the petitioners apply for an administrative subdivision to merge the portion of the abandoned street with their respective properties, and that they grant any necessary easements for access to their property for utility access and maintenance.
Thank you, Choyan. Now, do we have any members of the public who would like to comment on this application?
We have Councilwoman Anthony.
All right.
I will just allow her to talk here.
Good evening, Councilwoman.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you so much for all the good work you do every single meeting, all the time you spend and all the good work you do. But I'm here to speak in favor of this abandonment. I've had the opportunity to meet with the applicants. Attorney Rogers is correct. You would never know that there was a paper road in between these two houses. And I am very familiar with also the portion of Penrose that comes off of Grotto. So I think it makes a lot of sense for this to be abandoned and for them to be allowed to use the property. The other thing I'm very excited about is that there is a beautiful tree on the paper road, which they're planning to preserve. It's magnificent, really. I'm not sure if it's a protected tree, but I'm thrilled that they're going to be preserving it, and I would really appreciate your positive recommendation to the rest of my council members.
Thank you very much. It's always nice to hear from the council person representing the applicant area. Anyone else in the public that would like to comment on this application?
The councilwoman might have her hand up again. Councilwoman, was there anything else you had to say, or?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay,
Thank you.
we just wanted to be sure. All right. One last call for public comment on referral 3509, abandonment of Penrose Avenue, a portion of Penrose Avenue. With that, we will close the public comment portion of this agenda item and we will deliberate. Any other members of the commission have anything to say on this application?
Did we lose a commissioner there?
Yes. Sorry about that.
Should kick him out?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. Hold on.
He's coming back.
Welcome back. We missed you.
Thank you. Did I misbehave?
You're canceled briefly.
Okay, any discussion on this agenda item or a potential motion maybe?
I'll make a motion to make a positive recommendation to the council on this change, on this abandonment, based on what we heard today and the staff report.
All right, we have a motion by Nicole. Do we have a second?
We have to say the public works.
Oh, it's for the Committee on Public Works.
Yeah, all right. I second that wonderful motion.
Harry, we have a second for Harry. Let's take a voice vote again. Harry?
Aye.
Thank you. Miguel?
Aye.
Thank you. Manuel?
Aye.
Thank you. And Nicole?
Aye.
And I vote aye. The recommendation to the City Council and Public Works Committee is approved. And I believe Bob and Choyan wanted to break me in easy tonight because that is our last agenda item.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. We will see you next month.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Ciao.